Welcome back to my channel, everyone. So this is the part 3 of Angular 18.1.4 with the integration of Bootstrap. So let me quickly recap what we did in previous video. So we understood the basic concept of router, outlet and all, and then we moved ahead and then we created a project in Angular. We added Angular Bootstrap in our Angular project. Along with that, we verified the correct version which should be running with our Angular Bootstrap version. Now we'll be going to the additional setup. Before doing additional setup, I will proceed and I will go ahead and I'll start creating these app routes and navbar. The reason why I'm doing that because we need to understand why additional setup is required in this project. Because if we do not add, then we'll start getting errors, and then I'll uh, go through the process why those errors are happening. So let's quickly go to the project and start creating components. Before going there, I would quickly reiterate this part because it's important to understand why these components are important and where they are sitting in our project. So as I mentioned earlier that any project starts with the index.html. So this is the page which I was explaining in my first video, that this is the index page. Inside that there's a app.route tag. So we can see that app.route tag is present here. Where this app.route tag comes from, so we can see that there's app component.ts and there's a selector app.root. So let's quickly go back to the other part. Like, we need to understand where this tag is coming from. Like, what component has been hard coded in this index.html to be displayed as a single page application. So by default, we see that there's an app folder which has been created after running the schematic ng-new, and then we can go to this other component which has been created by default. As I mentioned, that any component consists of three different parts, uh, and they are like TS file, which is a kind of the backend code which runs in TypeScript, and you have got HTML app.component.html. Yeah. So if we see here that this is the HTML component, and there's the SCSS part, the styling part of the that component, and there's spec.ts. This is used for testing purpose. We can remove that as well, but if somebody is interested in how testing works, I'll cover in another video. So we have got at app component.ts. So there are three main files which are of our importance. Uh, if you see here, this app.root, it's always defined in the TS component. We can see that it's app.root is mentioned in the app component. So this component. And now let's go back to our HTML part. So if you see here, we have got HTML at component.html. Inside that, there's a router outlet. This is what I was talking about, the dynamic loading of different components which can be rendered inside this app component page. We can remove all of these just to have a simplicity, and we can leave the app.router here itself. We can say that this is this app.component.page, and we can run this. Additionally, now, so if we run, then we will be seeing this ng serve, and then we can check the output. localhost. So we can see that there's the app component which is being loaded here. And if we want to see one more thing, just to have a better understanding of the project structure itself, we can go to this part. So here I'm gonna go ahead and type in index as well, that this index page. So if we save, it automatically renders the page, so we don't need to rerun the component. So we can see that the index page is also loaded, and there's the component page. So we can see that this part is the index page. Inside that we have got app.route, which is running inside. So let's remove these two tags so that we can focus for our main work here. And inside the app component as well, I'm removing this part. Now let's go back and close this terminal, and we'll be start adding various components inside. So control will go to the terminal. So let's start adding 3 components as per our requirement. We can see that we need to have a home, about us, and contact us. So I'll be doing nggc, and I'll say home. So we can see that home component has been created. All these components which we are gonna create, it will automatically go into the app folder by default. So we can see that we have got a home component created, and let's create nggc about us, and the third one is the contact us. So we can see all 3 components has been created inside this app folder. Now the third point, as I mentioned, that any component which we create, and if we need to dynamically load inside that the app component here, it needs to have we need to define in the app.route.ts. Please remember that there is the latest version of Angular, and it works as a standalone application. That's why inside each component which we see here, we have got import sections, which I'll explain in a detail. Previously, all these components needed to be integrated with module, which is not the case anymore. They can work independently, they can exist independently as well. So let's go back to the app.route here, routes.ts. app.route. So we'll go inside this app. We can see that app.route.ts is also here. Inside this, we'll start adding different components. So say, for example, if we want to check the app.routes, there are 2 different sections here. It's a kind of array, so we'll create like this, and then we'll say path, and we'll be saying that home components first. So path we are leaving at empty, because what we want that the moment the page gets loaded, it should be automatically redirected to home page. So here we can say that path and component, and then I'll say home component, and here I will add home component from the top. So what this does is that, as I mentioned earlier in the first video, that anything which will be appearing on the URL, it will be automatically identifying that, okay, if the path is empty, then it has to redirect to the home component. Similarly, if we go to the other part, and I'll be defining path colon, and I'll say about us, and inside that again I'll write component about us component. So we can see that that already has been imported here. Similarly, I'll be going ahead and creating path contact us. Please remember that these things can change. Like it depends on your choice what URL you want to display on the front end. So these are not framework specific. So I'll say component contact us component. So I think all three routes are defined. So we are done with this defining of the routes. So let's save this one. Okay, now we need to go we need to create a nav bar. So again, nav bar is also one of the components. So I'll say nggc, and this is basically Bootstrap nav bar. So I'll just say nav bar. So if you run this, we can see that nav bar has also been created. App nav bar HTML. Routes. Okay. Before moving further, let's quickly check one thing. So I'll be running ngserve, and then I'll try to explain this concept now, that what happens if we change the URL. As I was explaining in the first video, that anything which comes as a localhost 4200, by default the first route says that it will be going to the home component. So if we go to this app.route, we say that if there isn't anything specified on the URL, it will be automatically redirected to the home component. So we can see that after running this 4200, we can see that it's saying that home component works. So we can see that it's loading by default because we haven't provided anything there in the URL. So let's say if I say backslash, and what path we have defined here, it's about us. So let's copy this and then say about us. So we can see that about us is also working. Similarly, if we see contact us, so if I replace this URL with contact us, we can see that the contact us is not working. Maybe we'll just quickly have a look why it's not working. Let's clear this one. Control C. I'll be just killing this session, and 4200, and I'll go back to this part. So contact us is app.component.ts, and contact us component contact us component, contact us component. Sometimes I prefer to write the whole thing so that it can automatically pick up the right references as a part of import. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll type component and contact us component, and we can see that it's picking up the file. And let's close this part as well, because there's a kind of array, and it's a it's a key value pair that anything which comes as a part of URL, it navigates to that component. So let's do that. Ng serve, and after this we should be able to go to the local host and then quickly see the contact us part as well. Still not working. We'll quickly have a look why it's not working. It says cannot match any route URL segment, contact us. Contact us. If we see this contact us, path is also fine. Contact us component is also fine. So we can see that if we select the route as contact us, it's showing the contact us page. So we verified that all the routers which we are selecting here on the URL, it's able to embed in the actual page dynamically in app.component.ts. So this third video, I'll be covering the next part, and I'll be creating a navbar component, which I already have created here, and I will try to explain how a router link will be used to navigate into different sections. Additionally, the one last thing I wanted to highlight is that if you see in this app.component.ts, so we have this thing as router outlet. We are not hard coding any component. Like if we would have used the home component, and then we would have taken this app home component, then we could have used this as hard coded app.component. Okay, and another thing is that the moment we use any component by hard coding, we need to specify in the import section as well. So if we go to the home component.html, home component.ts, then here we would have to import your in app.component we would have used this app home. So we go to app.component this part, and here we would have used home component. So if we save this one, then if we go back to the actual URL, we can see that the home works. And similarly, if we go to that code again, we can see that because we are already using this home component, so we can see that it's loading on the main page. So let's close it down and try to rerun by saving everything. Close others, and then let's save this one. and ng-serve, and we are going to go to the, you see that we can see that home component is working here twice. The reason why it is happening, that one is being loaded by hard coding, like if you go to that this app.component.th, this is the hard coding, and the other one is being emitted by your router outlet as per this diagram if you see here. So the router is also loading this home component, but we explicitly added the home component as well. So I'll cover the other part in the next lecture. Thank you for watching.